This is Now This News. Recently, they featured a clip from TikTok of a server/bartender from Austin, Texas, named Ocasio-Cortez. In that clip, Miss Cortez complained about her paycheck.
This is my hourly for 2 weeks. I worked almost 71 hours. I get paid $2.13 an hour as a bartender and a server.
The law varies from state to state, but the minimum wage in Texas is $7.25 an hour. But for tipped food service workers, employers pay $2.13 an hour. If those workers don't make at least $5.12 an hour in tips during a pay period, the employer has to make up for the difference. And that guarantees that the worker will receive at least minimum wage.
I get paid $2.13 an hour as a bartender and a server.
But that's only what your employer pays you. You get paid in tips from customers.
I should have made $150.81.
You did make $150.81. It says so right there on the check. And you also made in that period $708 in tips.
But because I have to have Social Security, Medicare, and the income tax taken out, I was paid $9.28 for 70 hours of work.
Oh my God, what is it with bartenders named Cortez in economics? Okay, let's break this down. Miss Cortez received $150.81 in hourly wages in a 2-week period. Plus, she reported $708 in tips. Her total gross earnings for that time period were $858.81.
I have to have Social Security, Medicare, and the income tax taken out. I was paid $9.28 for 70 hours of work.
No, she was paid $858.81 minus Social Security, Medicare, and federal income tax. She took home $717.28, which is an average of $12.13 an hour. And I should point out that it's possible that she made more than that because many servers and bartenders underreport their cash tips. When you receive a tip paid through a credit card, it's impossible to hide because the tip was entered in the system and will show up in the restaurant's accounting and reports. Cash tips, on the other hand, aren't kept track of in the same way, so it's easier for food service workers to hide at least a portion of them. And for legal reasons, I am suggesting that you not do this. You need to report all of your cash tips to the IRS. And if you get caught trying to cheat, you could get in trouble and have to pay a large penalty. Got it? Okay, moving on. Anyway, the video amassed hundreds of thousands of views on TikTok, and Ocasio-Cortez made a follow-up video.
The craziest thing that has come out of this video was someone from BuzzFeed contacting me and writing a f***ing article that is
Wow, BuzzFeed, aim high, sister. This mom shared a TikTok of her $9 paycheck after working over 70 hours. In the video, Aaliyah shows a recent paycheck indicating that she worked 70.80 hours, and after having Social Security, Medicare, and federal income tax taken out, only made $9.28. Now, if you take a gander at the entire article, you'll notice that BuzzFeed never mentions that Cortez made $708 in tips, because that would undermine the narrative that bartenders and waitstaff are somehow underpaid. Aaliyah told BuzzFeed, "There are laws set up that allow tipped workers to be paid under the federal minimum wage, which makes us rely on the customer to pay our wages." Yes, that's the whole point of being paid the sub-minimum wage. And while she's complaining about it, she's also failing to realize that the $2.13 an hour that she earned is 17.56% of her pay. I just wish we were all being paid adequately and consistently. As you can see by my check, I cannot afford to live off of $2.13 an hour, so I solely rely on the generosity of my customers. But no one is expecting that you live off of $2.13 an hour. If you had a bad week and didn't receive any tips, your employer would be obligated by law to pay you the entire $7.25 an hour. Look, if you want consistency in your salary, Go work in an Amazon fulfillment center. They pay $15 an hour to start. Or she could run for Congress like her namesake, but I don't want to give her any ideas. Anyway, other news outlets jumped on this non-story with headlines like, "Mom shares jaw-dropping paycheck after 70 hours of work. It's not right." Well, it's not jaw-dropping if you know the context, is it? And in this article on Today, the reporter wrote, "In the video, she explains that this was the total amount that she earned for working over 70 hours in 2 weeks." Which is not true, of course, because she also made tips. But the whole point of these stories is to generate sympathy for the poor, underpaid food service workers and the Fight for 15 movement. I believe the minimum wage for any tipped employee should be raised federally and statewide. I don't really care what Cortez believes, because clearly she doesn't have a grasp on how anything works. Then again, neither does her namesake, so I guess what I'm trying to say is, let's wish this future congresswoman the best of luck. So speaking of now this new chicanery, check out the following video regarding the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, i.e. the Trump tax cuts. Most Americans got smaller tax refunds thanks to Trump.
My refund was about half of what it normally is. It used to be like $4,000 and then I got $2,000 this year.
Now let's take a look at the original news clip where the same woman also said the following.
I got less money because I was getting more back in my paycheck. But that is not a tax break, in my opinion.
What?
All you did was shift the money from getting your return to getting it in your paycheck.
Karen, that's her real name, was able to keep more money throughout the year and then still complains about it. Typical Karen. If she wanted a larger refund, which is stupid, she should have made adjustments to her W-4. Which, according to Karen, she didn't do.
Speziali says she tweeted about her frustration when she realized the refund she had counted on had been eaten up by a change in withholdings that resulted in small increases to her paychecks dispersed over the course of a year.
So Karen is angry because she took home more money, and because she didn't plan ahead or understand how taxes work, it's Trump's fault. Got it.
You know, it's really difficult for people to understand that they are, in fact, getting the tax cut, but in tiny chunks throughout their paycheck.
Yeah, real complicated.
Rather than getting the refund, it just turns out that lots and lots of Americans depend on that refund as a sort of built-in savings plan for the year.
Or, as an alternative, maybe those same Americans could open up an actual savings account. Nah, that would be too difficult for people to understand.
This year, I just don't have a refund.
Okay, so why did this woman not get a refund, you ask? Let's take a look at the original clip.
South Carolina nonprofit consultant Eva Supersad is single, no children.
Okay, let me guess. That's Trump's fault too, right?
Her pay jumped $1,000 in 2018. No changes to her withholdings. Last year's refund, $900. This year, she owes $26.
In other words, she made more money that year, and then she received it up front. And since she didn't make any adjustments to her withholding, she ended up owing a whopping $26. Wow, cry me a river.
I hate calling it a tax cut because it really wasn't a tax cut for me.
But this year, instead of getting back the $5,000 Wright was expecting and that she and her husband got last year, the Houston mom found they actually owed the government money. With the birth of new daughter Olivia just 3 weeks ago, Wright says her family was counting on a tax refund to cover the cost of her unpaid maternity leave.
Unpaid maternity leave? Damn you, Donald Trump!
Wright, who manages a coffee house, says that although she and her husband make less than $50,000, under new tax laws, they don't qualify for an earned income credit, and they're no longer able to claim the personal deductions they claimed last year.
So she's like, I was expecting a $5,000 refund and didn't take into account that she and her husband made more money that year than the previous year. And because of that, she's not eligible for an earned income tax credit. So that's all on her. And while the lower third says, Houston mom stunned to owe thousands in taxes, it clearly shows on her computer, Victoria Pearl, your 2018 federal return was accepted, showing that she owes $738, not thousands of dollars. At least not in federal taxes. Either way, it's dishonest.
We were really banking on the refund because we live paycheck to paycheck. We can't, in a sense, save as of right now.
So this woman, along with her husband and first child, are living paycheck to paycheck. Their solution? Let's have another baby! But hey, at least they'll be able to deduct it from their taxes next year, so there's that, I guess.
Isadora Bielski says last year her family of four's tax refund topped $3,600.
I plugged it all in, and at first I thought, oh my goodness, we're getting $8,000 back. And then I realized it was the wrong color. So I went back in and I checked everything, and then I started to cry.
Now, what happened to this woman is a totally different situation from all the other examples, because it wasn't her fault that she did her taxes wrong. It was the IRS's.
Owing just over $8,000 was bad enough, but Bielski says it felt even worse because last year she went on the IRS website to make sure the government withheld enough taxes from she and her husband's paychecks.
Translation? She did it wrong. And she's gonna blame the IRS anyway, without proof I might add, saying that the website gave her the wrong information. But we know that's not true, because if it was, the media would have written countless articles exposing how Trump's IRS misled millions of Americans. And believe me, they wouldn't miss out on that opportunity.
I have a PhD in neuroscience. My husband has an MD. If we can't figure this out, and we can't rely on the IRS and their calculators to give us the right information, what are we supposed to do?
4 words. Hire a tax preparer.
I believe in paying taxes, but you can't expect average Americans who have bills to pay and things they want to do to save money that they don't know they're going to need.
Yeah, you can't expect Americans to be competent with their money. That's just crazy talk.
With 3 kids in college, the Edney family is now scrambling. Last year, they got a $10,000 refund, but because of high property taxes, this year, they owe $10,000.
I felt like I failed my family. I thought I was following things closely enough.
Well, you thought wrong, lady.
While they used to be able to deduct all of their state, local, and property taxes, the Republican tax law capped those deductions at $10,000. The Endies, with 3 kids in college, owe $30,000 in taxes. Their employer withheld $20,000. Now they're on the hook for another $10K.
I don't understand why all of these people think that they're able to do their taxes with 100% accuracy. Just walk down to your local CPA and pay them to do it. You'll save time and money. But then again, it's a lot more fun playing the victim than being logical. And of course, it's all Trump's fault, obviously.
I don't think anybody would have been able to do the tax cuts like I did. We got the greatest tax cuts ever.
Now this news claims that tax refunds this year are down $7.6 billion compared to 2018. But that's not true. According to the Internal Revenue Service, in 2019, the federal government paid $260.9 billion in tax refunds compared to $265.3 billion in 2018, which is a difference of $4.4 billion and not $7.6 billion. Now this news claims that retail sales were significantly lower in the first quarter. Analysts say lower tax refunds are to blame for the spending drop. And fact check false. According to the census, total retail sales were up 3.2% compared to the same quarter the previous year. Now this news states, last year, the median family's refund was more than 3 weeks' pay. Who the hell cares? Most Americans paid less in taxes. According to an analysis by MarketWatch, Americans making below $500,000 a year saw a double-digit decrease in average tax liability. Taxpayers making $40,000 to $50,000 a year had the largest fall in average tax liability, which was a 14.5% drop. But now this news can't say that because it would mean saying something positive about Republicans. And that would mean that they would have to be honest, which they will never do, because telling the truth clearly goes against their agenda. And that's it for now. Follow me on Twitter at Don'tWalkRun and on Instagram at Don'tWalkRunProductions. A special thanks to Poofy for all of her help with this week's video. And as always, thanks for tuning in and hope to see you next time.